शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Okay. So last time we saw these namas. We had started with this verse. Sarvaga sarvavidbhanur vishvakseno janardanaha. We had seen sarvagaha, sarvavid, bhanuhu and vishvaksenaha. Today we start with the next nama, janardanaha. Janan durjanan ardayati hinasti narakadin gamayati tiva janardanaha. That means one, you can say, who fights with the enemies or who fights against evils, who removes the evil things, the bad from our lives and sends a person to hell, meaning the person is punished for his evil actions. Janaihi purushartham abhyudaya nishreyasa lakshanam yachyate iti janardanaha. Meaning, one who is prayed by people to attain, you can say, well-being. So overall well-being, we pray to the Lord. This form of Janardana. Janardana, this form of the Lord is famous for blessing people mainly. Jana, the word people, Janaha, itself comes in this nama. So mainly one who is known for blessing people, who is known for helping people attain their well-being, welfare of people, bhaktas, devotees and so on. At the same time, remove the evil aspects around. Okay, so now behind this there is a story. Now, in South India, if you go, you have various kings who have ruled, and maybe our history does not highlight that much. Mostly in history, if you study, we know about a few kingdoms, mainly about the Mughals or so we study, and maybe a few dynasties, if you say maybe like the Chalukyas, Satvahanas and so on. Nothing beyond that, and that too, the Satvahanas, Chalukyas, these dynasties that I am telling you, usually they existed in the central or north part of India. That too, we don't delve into history much, at least whatever I have studied I am saying. So even till date, if you see, at least about 2-3 years back, even till then you see much about our history, the entire Indian history, Indian kings and all is not much highlighted in the history that we study in our school. So in our education system it's not highlighted yet, but there are many dynasties, like we have heard the name, but we don't know deep about them, like the Pallavas, Cholas, Pandyas and so on. So similarly here we have a story of a Pandyan king. Pandyan kings, again they belong to South India. So wherein there was a king called Vikrama Pandyan, and he has contributed a lot to the development of temples in South India and so on. Just hold on 1 minute, someone is saying. Okay, so there was a king called Vikrama Pandyan, and mainly he had contributed a lot to the development of a lot of temples in South India. Like we have so many famous temples like the Madurai temple, the Tiruvannamalai temple and so on. So like this, there are many temples, and this king mainly he had contributed a lot. He did a lot of good, maybe on the administration aspect or financially and so on. But obviously whenever we do something good, if 5 faces accept us, maybe 10 faces might not accept, or they might not like what you do. So like that, he too had a few enemies who did not like. Now basically how it happens was, it was not that it's not that people are against what you do. Maybe you are doing something good and 4 others are appreciating you, that might not be liked. So it's not that they were against doing something good for temples and so on, but they had an enmity towards this particular king Vikrama Pandyan. Because obviously when he was doing something good, people were liking him, people were supporting him, he could gain a lot of name, fame, success and so on. So basically it was like a jealousy that was there, and people did not like that. So there was another king, he was a Pallava king, and this Pallava Mandyan is his name. In some references you can consider as a Pallava king, and he was enemy of this Vikrama Pandyan, and what he did was he wanted to wage a war against us. So to wage a war, what he did was, and it was not very easy to attack this Vikrama Pandyan too, because he was a very strong king, you can say very successful, and that's the reason why he could conquer all over his enemies and so on. So what he did was, the Pallava king, who had an enmity towards this Pandyan king, he did a yajna, he did a sacrifice, and that too a sacrifice using, you can say, a very tantric, more than a tantric aspect, like how asuras and so on, how they do the sacrifice. Usually whenever we do a small homa, yajna and so on, we put ghee, right? Ghee. But this person, he used to put all kinds of, you can say, like chili powder or things like that, which will ultimately cause a lot of destruction. So basically, you can say a rakshasic approach of doing sacrifices. The same thing reference you get in the Ramayana when Indrajit, he does the sacrifice for Meghanada, while in many places he had done the sacrifice, especially the Rakshasic way, that is wherein you maybe do animal sacrifices or even human sacrifice. You have those skulls and so on. So not a very normal, Rakshasic approach of doing sacrifices. So this Pallava king also did the same thing, so that he said, I'll do some kind of sacrifice so that these Asuric powers and everything I will get, and I can win over this king. So this was his plan mainly, and he did that. And at that time what happened was, when he did that sacrifice, out of the powers and everything, a very terrible elephant came out of it, it seems. And that elephant, it seems that it used to, like wherever, even if you used to keep its leg somewhere, that place would be destroyed. So this elephant was finally made, and this elephant was sent to fight against the king Vikrama. And when that elephant entered the kingdom, everyone, all the people were afraid. They were running here and there. They rushed to their king and said that you do something, without that I'll not be saved, and so on. So like this, they were all different, all the people, all the subjects of that kingdom, they rushed to the king Vikrama, told him that such a terrible elephant has come to attack, you only have to do something now. So now Vikrama, he said, what I will do, I don't know. And all this happens in Madurai, in the city of Madurai, Tamil Nadu. And Vikrama, he Chaturanga Sena, elephants, horses, soldiers, camels, everything, he gets everything ready, chariots. And then what he does is, he goes to the temple of Meenakshi and Sundareshwara, and he prays to the goddess there. He tells that you are the one who rules over the city, therefore you must only take care. He prays to the goddess, and with his army also he is ready. Now here we have to note one thing. Whenever we pray to the Lord, you must always remember that just simply sitting at the comfort of your house and praying never helps. So the king, what he did was, he first made his army ready. He himself was going to put in efforts. His army was going to put in efforts. He was going to fight against the elephant. But he went and took the blessings of the goddess and the Lord, saying that you have to help me or you assist me. So this is something which is very, very important, and this gives a very clear message saying that simply sitting, praying and cursing our own destiny never helps. You yourself have to put in efforts. You can just pray, because 99% your efforts, 1% luck, blessings or whatever you call it, that does play a role. So therefore, for that 1%, but what we usually do is 99 or 100% we wait for our luck and destiny to change. 1% we might think of doing something, then 1% also most of us give up. So that should not be done. The king also gives the same message. So after praying to the goddess, he leaves. Goddess Meenakshi is pleased by all the good things that he had done. He had also contributed a lot for the for the Madurai Meenakshi temple. Meenakshi, the goddess Meenakshi, immediately tells Sundareshwara, Lord Shiva, that you go and assist. And from those times itself, you see, the goddess or the lady of the house was ruling. This reference comes, Parashara Bhatta mentions this. So whatever we see around today, whenever you feel that no, the lady of the house or my wife or my mother, she is ruling over the house, or she has certain rules, she tells me you do this, you do that and so on. It has started from Meenakshi and Sundareshwara, that is Lord Shiva and Lord Parvati. So whatever we see around today, everything has got some reference somewhere, nothing is man-made. So again coming back, so therefore Meenakshi immediately tells Sundareshwara, you go and fight, one of our devotees is waiting, he has come and prayed. So Sundareshwara immediately he gets ready. Now if you see Shiva, he always has a Trishula with him. Though he is Pinaka Pani, he has the bow Pinaka, and that time it seems that in Madurai he did not even have the bow. So what he did was, he took a mountain, there is a mountain nearby. Even today if you go to Madurai, you have something called, there is a Malay, elephant Malay. So I think Ana Malay or something you call, where in that Malay is nothing but a mountain and elephant. The Ana is elephant. So like that, the elephant is in the shape of the mountain is in the shape of an elephant. If anyone has visited Madurai, or if you are natives of Madurai, maybe you will know more about this. So that Malay or that mountain is mainly has come after this elephant incident. So what he does was, he takes a mountain itself he turns into an arrow. Lord Shiva, he makes it as a bow, then Vasuki, his serpent, he uses as a string to tie the bow. Now he needs an arrow, right? Now from where will I get an arrow? He prays to Lord Narasimha. Lord Narasimha Murti only could kill that elephant, so he tells Lord Narasimha, you turn to be an arrow. Like, so Narasimha, he takes the form of an arrow, and with this, that elephant is killed and all the people are saved from this terrible elephant. So this is how Janardanaha is this Nama, Janardanaya Namaha. So somehow the other way, if you say, in thus Vikramapandian also, the Pallava king, he was defeated, Vikramapandian attained victory, he prayed to the goddess and the Lord. So this is how through this Nama, if you see, Lord himself here in the form of Narasimha comes, he turns out to be an arrow, and that's how Lord Shiva, he kills the elephant. So it's not that the Lord can incarnate only as human beings or as animals or as other creatures. Sometimes he also incarnates as non-living things like an arrow in order to save his devotees. So that is Janardanaha. So by chanting this Nama, just as the Lord assumed any form as needed to save the life of his devotees, similarly to save our lives also, Janardanaya Namaha. If we chant this Nama, the Lord will come in any form. So that's the reason, I think even last time we discussed, right? Which form the Lord comes, it can be even a non-living thing, or it can be some medium. Maybe you're searching something and suddenly you come across, then you feel, oh, I was searching for this so many days past, suddenly I got it. So this is, you see, if you believe, that's how faith works. So here also Lord Narasimha, when you put in efforts, and at that time we feel, thank God I got it, right? So it is like a message, or maybe something happens, things don't happen the way we want. At that time we feel very bad, why things didn't happen, what wrong I have done, and so on. But maybe after a month or so, you feel good, this didn't happen that day, otherwise today things would have been different, right? So at that time we pray, and at that time we feel good, saying that good, the Lord saved me, or good, so and so thing did not happen, or destiny saved me, whatever you call it. So this is how maybe at that moment we don't thank, but later we do thank and we do feel good about it. So it is like, you can say Janardanaha, God's way of saving us, right? So Janardanaha, literally the God assumes many forms. Like this, there are many stories wherein the Lord comes to save his devotees. This is just one of them, how the Pandyan king, he was saved by the grace of the Lord. Okay, did everyone understand this Nama, Janardanaha? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next. Vedaha, Vedayati iti Vedaha. One who makes the devotees learn. Now Veda is equal to knowledge. Veda has come from the word Vida, meaning to know something. So one who helps his devotees in gaining the knowledge of the Vedas, that is Vedaha. From the Gita also you have Tesham evanukampartam ahamaknyanajam tamaha nashanyam yatma bhavasto jnanadipena bhasvata. Basically, this verse stresses upon the importance of knowledge and Vedas. Now, let me tell you, Vedas, now why are Vedas has been given? Vedas, you can say, are the base of our knowledge system. It is like the base on which you have the Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, the various Puranas, and the different knowledge systems, the 6 Chandas, Vedangas, and so on, right? Not Chandas, Vedanga, Shiksha, Vyakarana, Chandashastram, Jyotisha Shastram, and so on. So the base are the Vedas, and ultimately Vedas, they also represent knowledge. So when we say Vedas, one is the 4 Vedas, third and second meaning is knowledge. So knowledge about anything. So Vedas are equal to knowledge. So in this context, you can consider one meaning as Vedas. You can also interpret it another way is knowledge of everything. So a message is keep learning. So that's how whenever you look at something or someone, we feel very proud. Oh, I know so many things, right? He doesn't know anything. We feel very proud. Maybe you know 1 or 2 things extra, that also makes us feel proud. But you see a third person, he knows 10 more things than you, at that time you feel upset. Feel, oh, he knows so much, I don't know anything. But still at that time we don't agree. We don't go and tell the person that, oh, you know more, how you learn this or you learn. We are not ready to learn something from others, right? It becomes very difficult. I'm not saying in the case of all of you also, or in general, to learn something from someone, we have to always regard the opposite person, the person who's teaching you or the person who's telling you something as great. More than great, one level high. Right? Okay. The opposite person, yes.
Lakshmi, can we chant Purusha Suktam and all, no? Vedam and all?
You can chant. See, it's not right to chant, but usually women, they were prohibited from chanting in earlier times. For that, there was a very, you can say, reason that was being told was, in those times, of course, now you see in earlier times, in the Rigvedic times, you had women who used to chant Gargi, Lopamudra, and so on. But then they used to also study in Patishalas, and they lived, you can say, like an Ajivana Brahmacharini. So they did not marry and so on. But then they did not get into the family life at all. Whereas later times, women, of course, they got into the family system, and Vedas, they have a few swaras that are there. So intonations, you have to chant it that way. So therefore, some people used to say that those intonations and so on, that might cause a lot of movement in our lower part of the body, the abdominal part, which can lead to fertility issues later. So that is the reason why women were not prohibited. Then for chanting the Vedas, you have certain rules that are told, like you have the Sandhyavandana, the Upanaya Samskara, and so on, which was not done by women then. Earlier, women used to have those samskaras, like the Rigvedic times, but later as the society changed, we didn't have these practices. So without doing that, you chant the Vedas, so a little, it is, you can say, it doesn't fit in. So that's the reason why women were not being taught, or women did not learn. But my suggestion is, if you get a chance, you can surely learn. If women are not learning, that means men should learn, right? But today's times, you see, men are also not learning. So if you get a chance, why not learn? So you can learn, it's nothing wrong. Like I myself, I know a few of them. But of course, I could learn because the people around me were chanting, so I could listen and learn. So therefore, you can also listen and learn. Someone is ready to teach, well and good. So like, more than getting into can we chant or can we not chant, if you get an opportunity, I feel you should surely chant, because if you are not learning, then the men and boys around you must learn. If they are not learning, tomorrow you also did not learn, the men also did not learn. Tomorrow our future generation will not know what are the Vedas, right? So if something like that, you get a chance. So my suggestion would, like this, you have so many questions. Forget about this. Someone that day from our own group, I wanted to share this. Someone asked, I don't know from where this thought came in. We are on Nama now 120s. Someone came and asked, no, women, somebody told me women cannot chant the Vishnu Sahasranama. I was like, you are seeing the meanings for more than 120 and then you feel you cannot chant the Vishnu Sahasranama. So I hope here at least everyone, you should know to chant the Vishnu Sahasranama. If you don't know, at least you listen and learn. I don't feel that I should chant the Nama. Someone told me from somewhere that we should not chant, but I'm looking at the meanings. Like, this is something that I will, even if you know, you're shutting your mouth and sitting. This is very, very, very wrong. Don't get into all this. So, of course, there are few reasons why things are being told in certain way, but that doesn't mean that we just blindly follow something. Even if you know things, still you shut your mouth and sit. That is very wrong. So, if you get an opportunity to learn anything or to do something, you have to. You can do. There is no problem in that. But of course, we should not get into that mode of, maybe in general, I'm saying, arguing and knowing why something need not be told or why this is that way and so on. There are certain reasons which are being told. Now in today's times, if you see, when I told you that okay, those Vedas have got certain swaras, so it used to cause a lot of fertility issues and so on. So basically, if you see those, when you have those menstrual cycles, so that 3 to 5 days you are just resting. Like in those times, why people used to sit apart. Today we look at it saying that no, women are oppressed, this, that. It was like slavery, kind of so many things we tell, right? But mainly it was those times. You should not stress yourself at all, as it causes a lot of problems later. So that is the reason why they used to sit apart. But maybe we gave that a very religious touch. Now why even from a religious point of view it is looked upon is, during that time of the body, the woman has got a lot of energy in her. And especially if you see, our energy that is there should always move upwards. That's the reason why you have the chakras, different study of chakras. You see from inside the stomach, it should slowly proceed upwards to the heart, to the lungs, to the neck, and to the top point, that is the Mooladhara chakra, Swadhisthana chakra, Agnya chakra, and so on. Finally, Samadhi stage is topmost, that is our head, the tip of our head. That's how the soul passes about. So that's how knowledge or energy should always pass. That's the reason, a very simple example I'll give you. We eat food, right? It goes inside our stomach, that is, it goes inside. From inside, the energy passes through all the different parts of our body, right? So hands, feet, upwards. Whereas during that time of the month, if you see, energy flow is downwards, right? You have the blood flow that takes place downwards. We lose about a lot of energy. That's the reason why we feel weak, back pain, this, that, so many things, symptoms we witness, right? So whenever you do something, like you do something religious, you chant a few mantras, you visit temples, or maybe you exert yourself, or that's the reason they said that you should not even attain occasions also. Whenever there is a lot of positive energy or vibrations around, it is an upward source of energy, right? So it is like two energies that clash about. Already you have a downward flow of energy that time, and you have some positive vibrations. You go to temples, you chant something, or you are in a positive place, energy is moving upwards. So therefore it's like a clash that takes place downwards and upwards, which can lead to certain problems. So this was a very practical reason that was being told. The thing is, many things we don't know, or you might argue that time logic, is it still applicable now? So some things were told in those times, so people followed them because that was how women used to be there. Like they used to not go out much, or they did not have anything else to do, so those 3 to 5 days they could rest about, right? But then today's times, you see, if we are listening to all these rules, no, only this 3 to 5 days we should not do anything, or maybe you should not chant the Vedas and so on, then you should not do anything else also. Today's times, you see, whatever the situation may be, we do all our normal activities, right? Maybe you go to the gym, you jump about, play this, that. We do a lot of physical exertions. If you are doing all that, then why not chant this? So that is fine. But then why certain reasons were being told was, there was always a practical approach people gave. It's just that we don't know the proper reasons behind it. Therefore, without knowing, we sit and argue and we ask, can we chant? Or maybe 4 people will come and tell, no, you don't do this. If you do, someone will come and poke your eyes. It's not like that. So if you get a chance, be it men or women, for that, let's not make it only women or so. So just because the society tells us something, should I accept, should I not accept? Of course, we should know the reasons why something has been told. But then, if you get a chance, surely you can. Especially old women and all, you can surely go about it. You're almost done, right? The family way, everything is done. So you can surely, if you get a chance, why not learn it? And it's always better you learn it, and also ensure that mainly men and boys in our family learn it, because that is mainly for them, those who do the Sandhya Vandana and so on. And at the same time, if we get an opportunity, we should also learn it. So this is something, a very good reason that you have. But then if you get a chance, you should surely learn it. Okay. So let's continue. So once it so happened that amongst the different alvars who are there, now all this explanation that I told you, it's not only for the Vedas. In general, for anything and everything that you see, if you get an opportunity to learn something, you must surely make the best of it. You must not think, what will he say, what will she say, will I able to do this? Sometimes we doubt ourselves. Before blaming others, we have so many doubts in our own mind. Should I do this? No, later I'll do. We keep postponing things. We ourselves are not, you can say, convinced. Let's not even blame others. So it's whenever you get something to learn, you don't know whether you will get that opportunity again, right? Like many of you are elder people here, so you might feel now we have a few regrets, right? No, in my young age I felt that I should have learned, but then maybe at that time I didn't have so much of interest, or I just gave up. So we feel bad, right? So the same thing should not repeat now. Of course, what is gone is gone. We need not feel bad about it. If you've got an opportunity now, you must make the best use of it. Maybe in childhood you couldn't do something, but now you have got a chance, it's fine. You don't know whether you will get a chance again, right? So therefore, whenever we get a chance, we must make the best of it. Tomorrow isn't promised. We never know what will happen tomorrow, whether we get the chance again. So learning, again, as we say, learning has got no age at all. Still people do tell, no, in a young age you learn. Young age you learn, it's good, but if you don't get a chance, or if you did not do at a young age, you can do it later. There's no problem in that. So like that, only for even, should I learn this, the Vedas, or it can be anything, there are certain reasons that are told. Of course, in that point of view, in that society, things did matter. Today also it does matter. They have a very practical reason that has been told. But then today our lifestyles are, if you are thinking that way, then we must not do any other activities also. But we end up doing so many other activities causing physical exertion, right? So therefore, only for learning the Vedas, you need not consider it that way. So if you get a chance, it is there on the tip of my tongue. The book also I have in front, but still I am controlling myself. That need not be done. So whenever you get a chance, you can make the best of it. Okay, let's continue. So here you have the story of an Alvar, Tirumangalvar, and there was a person called Jnana Sambandha. Now all this comes in the Alvar stories in Sangam literature, Tamil literature. Now in those times what used to happen was the follower or the leader you can say more than the leader, a group of people who are devotees of Tirumangalvar. They once, what happened was, they used to always have this, you can say, a competitive spirit. Like more than, I'll give you an example. If there are two people, two leaders or so, and you have a team under them, both the teams will feel that our leader is the best, right? My leader knows everything, or our team is the best. We always feel that. So similarly here also, this Alvar, Tirumangalvar's followers, his people, his group always felt that Tirumangalvar knew everything. And there was another person, Jnana Sambandha. His followers or his team felt that he knew the best. So once it so happened that, and Jnana Sambandha, he was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, and Tirumangalvar, of course, he was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. So again, now in those times, little you had this Vaishnavism, Shaivism coming in. But basically, though, now it was not that they were against. Now let me tell you one thing. They were not against the worship of each other, but then they were not enemies. But they used to mainly, now all of us also, we have our own Ishta Devata, or as per the parampara, as per the tradition that we have. Maybe some people do the Vishnu Puja every day, some people do the Shiva Puja every day. If you have the practice of doing Shiva Puja every day, doesn't mean that you are against Vishnu, right? Now in the case of all of us, whatever we do is hardly for a few minutes or so. We do it only for some time. So in our case, it doesn't matter. We are doing something, that's only more than enough. But still, you see, rather than saying more than enough, the Lord himself will say, oh, you are at least doing this, I will accept that. So here, but in the case of this Tirumangalvar, Jnana Sambandha and so on, it was just why they used to worship mainly that deity. Like if I say Tirumangalvar used to worship Vishnu, mainly the Alvars, you have the Nayanmars or you have other like Jnana Sambandha and so on, they were all great worshippers of Lord Shiva. So you had a particular sect who was worshipping Lord Shiva as a primary deity, and the Alvars used to mainly worship Vishnu as a primary deity. So that doesn't mean that they were against or they were enemies of Shiva or their followers and so on. But the chief deity that they used to worship was this Lord. So therefore both of them little they had, so people what they felt was, oh, they are against each other's lords, so let us like make like a debate kind of an argument. So this Jnana Sambandha, he called Tirumangalvar and he said that we will have a singing competition. So I will tell you certain, you can say certain notes. Now those are familiar with singing, you will know there are a few aspects, right? Theory, tune, raga, tala and so on. So on this Jnana Sambandha, he tells Tirumangalvar, I will tell you different rules and you have to tell me all that. You have to, in the same way, you have to sing and so on. So Tirumangalvar, so different ways he tells different ragas, different talas, then whatever are the different nuances of music, everything this Jnana Sambandha asks, and Tirumangalvar also very nicely, he answers all of that. So now Jnana Sambandha is very happy. So initially Jnana Sambandha had developed, you can say, because of his followers. They were telling that Tirumangalvar doesn't know anything, or without knowing anything he has become very proud, or his followers, his devotees just appreciate him without any reason, and so on. So like this, a lot of, you can say, Tirumangalvar was put in a very bad picture. But Jnana Sambandha, therefore, after his test that happened with Tirumangalvar, he told a lot of things away. If different questions were asked to him, all that was answered and so on. So Jnana Sambandha became very happy and he said that now you ask me something. Like you also want to question me also, you question me, ask me a few questions and so on. So Jnana Sambandha, Tirumangalvar says that no, I don't want to ask any questions also. But then now here the main debate, how it started was, Tirumangalvar used to always accept people around him, like even if there was a small kavi. Now in those times you had a lot of kavi, right? Mishra kavi and so on. Like this, there were many kavis. They had their own way, poets, they had their own way of composition. So basically now even all of us also, if you take an example, we are about 20 of us, right? Now 20 of us, if I tell you to sing a song, or maybe, now some people who know music very well, they will sing it very nicely. People like me who don't know anything, maybe will sing very harsh, but still we will sing, right? Now there are few things like maybe singing or dancing. It's not that someone has to come and teach you, right? If someone says sing a song, you can listen and you can sing, right? Maybe you don't sing, others' ears will start paining, that is another thing. Nobody will like to listen to you, that might be secondary. But still, we can sing, right? Or if I ask what is singing, you know what is singing, you can sing. If I tell you dance, maybe you're not a dancer, nobody can look at you while dancing, but still you can dance, right? So these are few things which we are already blessed with. Nobody has to come and tell us Do you know how to sing? You have to open your mouth and do it. Nobody comes and tells us, right? Do you know how to dance? You have to shake your hands and legs or whatever it is. Nobody tells us that. We can look and we learn, we listen and we learn, right? So like this, there were many people who used to do that. Maybe they were not experts in the field, but still they used to try their best. So Tirumangalvar used to appreciate all those people and say that yes, they have made maybe a few contributions. It's not the best, but still he used to give them different titles, this kavi, that kavi and so on. So Jnana Sambandha, he did not like this. So that's the reason, that was the main purpose why he tested Tirumangalvar, saying that you are accepting people here and there, people who don't know anything and so on. So for this, Tirumangalvar, he gives an answer saying that the Lord himself is Veda Swarupi. Veda Swarupi, and you can say the Lord himself is a Vedas. He only has taught different Vedas and so on. He is the one who is also teaching us the Vedas and the different forms of knowledge, that is Shiksha, Chandas, Jyotisha Shastram, Nirukta and so on. Nirukta is dictionary, science of different words. Shiksha, Chandas, grammar, Vyakaranam, Chandashastram and so on. So like this, there are different aspects in itself. If you see, the knowledge systems cannot end at all, but at least people are doing their best. People are trying, they're trying to contribute something, so why not appreciate that? So he says that we cannot compare ourselves. Now even if, so therefore why he told this was, Jnana Sambandha, he wanted everyone to be perfect. So that you won't know. To one extent it is fine, but then you should know about the Vedas, you should know about this, you should know about that. For this, Tirumangalvar says that the Lord only is the one who, it is very difficult to understand the Vedas from our aspect. There are many books, even if now, if ever you read the Upanishads or the Vedas, you have some books or so, you can read the first 5 pages, you will not understand anything. You close a book, keep it. After 1 month again you continue. Maybe if you finish the whole book also, out of that whole book, hardly 10% we understand. The reason being that itself is only the Lord one Vishnu, the Lord Narayana only is capable of understanding the Vedas. This has been told. So that doesn't mean that we don't study, but then only to certain extent we can make out. Now even the Vishnu Sahasranama also. Now you see, maybe you consider all of us only. There are about 1,008,000 namas, right? Sahasranama. Out of that we are just in the first part. 120, 125. Last week what we studied, do you even remember? Okay, a few names you might remember, but the exact story or all the namas that we saw till now, we don't remember, right? So this is our little knowledge that we have. Maybe you listen to that again. So that's the reason we need notes, or maybe we have to listen to the audio again and then you might remember. Now say for example, next week I tell all of you have to choose one nama and the story behind that you have to tell. All of you will agree saying yes, yes. Why you will say yes? Because 1 week you have time, you have the recording also, maybe you have written something. So listening to that, one nama, okay, I'll listen to that and revise in time. The same thing if I ask you now, how many of you will tell? Should I ask anyone now? Will you tell? Anyone nama? I myself also might not be able to do, right? Okay. So the thing is, this is our knowledge. So here you see, it's not that we are not interested, it's not that we don't know things, but it becomes very difficult for us to absorb. So the same thing Tirumangalvar also, he said that we cannot expect everyone, and in those times it was not even like this. You didn't have recordings, you didn't have meanings, you didn't have books. But then, and that too not like this, the Vishnu Sahasranama is quite easy, right? Whereas the same thing if I talk about maybe the Upanishads also, if I don't know, here also if I just tell you the names or the terms, sometimes even these stories also it becomes difficult to understand, especially the Puranas also. If you see a lot of information, you try to explain in an easy way, it is fine, but you tell things very, you can say very philosophically, or as it has been mentioned by Parashara Bhatta, it becomes difficult, right, as per the original text. Or even if you see the Shankara Bhashya, I am showing you the reference, right? So that if you just listen to this nama, okay, you know the meaning. But until and unless you explain that, that's the reason why I'm telling you the stories, right? The same thing if I explain with a story also, we understand it easily. So Tirumangalvar, he stressed upon this main point, saying that the knowledge of the Vedas can be known only by the Lord himself, Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana himself. There are many people, there will be many scholars who try to teach the Vedas in their own way. That's how we have different books or people who tell. But that will be limited. Like nobody, you need not consider only the Vedas, even the Gita. There are so many texts like this, the Ramayana, Mahabharata and so on. We know the story. But even one lifetime is also not enough to know about the meaning totally. But even the Gita also for that matter, every time, whenever you try to learn it, every time you get to learn something new, right? Or you feel that okay, that is not the end of it, still we have to put in a lot of efforts. So therefore Tirmangalvar also, he said the same thing, that you cannot expect people to know all the four Vedas, everyone should know, everyone should be born scholars. This rule, or this you can say this way that you want from people, you cannot expect it all. People in their own way try to contribute little they know. So like this little everyone is trying to learn. The knowledge of the Vedas is the Lord himself, is from the Lord himself. That's the reason why another nama for the Lord is Vedaha. So Vedaya Namaha is a nama here. So if we also try to chant the nama, at least little knowledge of the Vedas we can also try to gain. So therefore the knowledge of the Vedas is there with the Lord. So that's how the Lord himself has got the nama Vedaha. Vedaya Namaha is a nama. Falashruti is, we will also be able to study the Vedas, or you can say the topmost knowledge. We will also be able to gain knowledge, at least you can say from a basic level. Slowly it will start advancing. Okay. Next nama, Vedavit. Yathavat Vedartham Vetiti Vedavit. Now one who knows the meanings of the Vedas as it is. Vedavid, that is one who has gained knowledge about the Vedas. You have some references from other texts from the Mahabharata, the Gita and so on. Now for this again there is a story. Now once it so happened that there was this, you have to refer to the Krishna Leela stories. So once when Krishna, when he was a small child, he used to go and steal butter from different houses. So one fine day he goes to a house and there was a big bell there, ghanta, a big bell there. And now that bell actually was an avatara of someone. So Krishna told the bell that you please don't ring. Now in those times you see people or big temples, or even in a village also. Now nowadays we don't have this, but even in earlier times you see bells or maybe sirens used to be there. So maybe at a particular time of the day, like maybe 12 o'clock or something like that, we have the siren that rings it, right? So wherein even if you don't have the clock with you, you know okay, the time is so and so. So like that, these bells used to be there in a few houses. Just maybe you have to call out to people or something like that. So at that time, Krishna, he tells a bell that you please don't ring, because I have come here to steal. Once I leave this place and go, then you can start ringing and so on. So the bell, it just nods its head, and what happened was Krishna, he finally climbed in order to steal the butter, and the bell rang suddenly, and the lady of the house, she came out running saying that, and she caught Krishna. Now after the lady had gone, somehow Krishna was, he came out, he goes and he asks the bell, why did you ring? I told you not to ring, right? Why did you ring? The bell said, no, I felt that I was so happy that when you were stealing butter, I felt that you are doing Nevidyam, you are offering to the Lord, so I felt that I will also start ringing, so it will be like a worship that I do to you. So Krishna, now he could not answer the bell anything, and he said, okay, this person has interpreted very smartly, very nicely, he has interpreted, saying that no, when you were stealing butter, it was like Nevidyam that I was offering to the Lord, that's the reason I started ringing. So I cannot answer anything further, and he goes from there. This same ring who was there, the same ring today also we find in the Tirumala temple. So in the Tirupati Balaji temple also there is a bell, and that bell is the same bell which the Krishna Avatara stories Krishna had spoken and later rung. And this same bell was an avatara of Vedanta Deshika. Vedanta Deshika, that's how Vedanta Deshika has got another name, Ghanta Avatara. So Vedanta Deshika was the same bell. So why bell? This Ghanta Avataram, why is known that all the knowledge that was there, you can say Kavitarka Simharha, this name is given for Vedanta Deshika, Kavitarka Simharha, and so on. Kesari, we say, right? Kesari is lion. So among poets, one was a lion. So just as this bell, very smartly it interpreted, right? When Krishna asked, why did you ring? It said that no, I felt that you were offering me with him, that's the reason I started ringing. So like this, Vedanta Deshika also very, in all his texts that he has written as a poet, he has written things very logically. At the same time, he has used, that is a few texts which were very logical, practical and so on. At the same time, many texts he has used his poetic imagination and creativity also. So he was the one who could write, you can say, all kinds of texts together. So you can say an all-rounder. So the way of interpretation, he was very smart, something logical, at the same time maybe very like a poet also. So both qualities he had in him. So just as the bell also, it had changed, maybe it was very logical, the way it interpreted was smart. Similarly, Deshika also had the same qualities. So once it so happened that just as in the Shankaracharya stories, you have the debate between Adi Shankaracharya and Mandana Mishra. Similarly, Vedanta Deshika had a debate with a person called Krishna Mishra. So yeah. So in the debate that he had with Krishna Mishra, at that time the same thing happened. Was Krishna Mishra also, like Mandana Mishra told, that I have a different philosophy and you have a different philosophy. So in case you have like we'll have a debate talking about our own philosophies, our own theories. In case you lose, then in case I lose, the Krishna Mishra he tells Vedanta Deshika, in case I lose, I am ready to accept your theory or philosophy. I will agree that whatever I told you, all that is false. So Vedanta Deshika he agrees. He says okay. So but now this person he says. Krishna Mishra he tells Vedanta Deshika that I told you mine. If I lose, I will accept your theory. I told you. What about you? What if you lose? What will you do? So you have to do the same thing. You also have to accept my philosophy. So for this Vedanta Deshika he says that there is nothing called my philosophy here because I have not created anything. The knowledge has been passed about by my Acharya Ramanujacharya, and Ramanujacharya he has learnt it from the Lord himself, Lord Vishnu himself, Vedavit, who has got the knowledge of the Vedas. So whatever today we are preaching or whatever today I am telling someone or I am believing in something is not something which I have created or I have invented. So there is nothing that I will lose my philosophy and I will accept yours. Even if I lose, I cannot, because the point is I am not going to lose it. The thing is, firstly, I have not created this philosophy. And secondly, I am not going to lose at all because this is something which my own Acharya, my own Guru has followed, and he too has not created anything. The Lord himself has come and told him. So there is no point of questioning something. So through this what we understand is Krishna Mishra, then later what happens is Krishna Mishra he accepts his defeat and he says that this is something what you told is ultimately very much true. So it's nothing that my philosophy or your philosophy that is there. So through this what we understand is whenever we argue over something, maybe people can have different beliefs. Now say for example about a particular thing, all of us, 20 of us, if I ask you an opinion, all of us will have different opinions. Say for example we are going to buy a product also. I want to buy something, say I want to buy a washing machine. Someone has bought, we go and ask 4-5 people, right? You go to 4-5 shops, you go to different people, you ask them their opinion and so on. Everyone will have a different opinion. One will say no, it is very good. The same person, same model, everything, some other person will say no, it is very bad. No, it's not that the machine was bad or the product was bad. Maybe the product which that the second person bought, it did not work well for him or her. That is the reason why he or she termed it as bad. But maybe the same product, it worked good for person number 1. So that's the reason he or she said that no, it is very good, it's working very much, very well, you can buy it. So now you are more confused. One said it's good, the other said it is bad. So the product in itself is not bad. Maybe the way of, so the original thing that is there, that is not bad. The company or the product is not bad. Maybe the one which was supplied to the second person turned out to be, you can say, faulty, and the product which was supplied to person 1 turned out to be good. So this is the only thing which we can accept. So the thing in itself, so here that washing machine or the original product can be compared to the philosophy or to the knowledge that is there. It's just that different people try to preach it in different ways. That's the reason we need gurus in our life. So this stresses the importance of gurus. Knowledge is always there, right? But still we need someone to come and tell us. That's the reason all of us we go to school. If you want, you can buy the textbooks from the market, study at home and give the exams, right? You also have a provision of getting certificates also. Nowadays you have something called distance, this and that. But we don't do that. We ourselves go to school, we send our children to school. Why? Books are there, you yourself are educated, you can't teach your children. We don't do that. Why? In fact, we send them to not only school, this class, that class, all of us we do, right? Why do we do this? Because we always need someone to tell us. Knowledge is always there, but it has to be told in the right way. Only then the opposite person can accept it. Vedanta Deshika tells Krishna Mishra in the same way, saying that there is nothing called your philosophy or my philosophy. In fact, my philosophy, I have not created it. It has just been passed on. I am just doing the work of passing it on further. That's it. So nothing is my creation at all. So therefore, there is no question of debating or someone winning or losing over this. Still you win, you feel your philosophy has won, well and good, you can be happy. But in my case, I don't think that I will face defeat. Even if you feel that I have lost, I don't lose anything, because my philosophy, my knowledge is something which is intact. I have not created it, so therefore I am happy with it. So through this, what we understand is Veda Vide Namaha, the one who is a knower of the Vedas, that is the Lord himself. So all the philosophy that we have around today, if you see, or in our culture or in our tradition, there is nothing whichever we follow now. Say even the Vishnu Sahasranama for that matter. Vishnu Sahasranama comes in the Mahabharata, right? Itihasa. So wherein Yudhishthira and Bhishma, they have a conversation. So whatever, if you are learning now, if I am telling you the meanings of the Vishnu Sahasranama, doesn't mean that I have made it, right? It is already there in the Mahabharata. Parashara Bhatta, Adi Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, they have written their different commentaries. How did they write the commentaries? They have also read the original Vishnu Sahasranama and only written. I am also reading the original Vishnu Sahasranama. All of you are also reading the original Vishnu Sahasranama. But then we cannot become Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya. We cannot become Parashara Bhatta. We cannot write commentaries like them. So tomorrow, so it is just like if I have a debate, say for example, with one of the acharyas saying that my philosophy is different, your philosophy is different. The same knowledge, the same Vishnu Sahasranama, both of us are reading. It's only that the acharya in front of me has got the ability to write a commentary. I don't have the ability even to read the commentary and understand. So this is the state of us. So this Krishna Mishra or Mandana Mishra, to these people, now at least they had their own theories. They were very intelligent and very wise in that. But still, they had this competitive, you can say, my philosophy is great, yours is great. And that's the reason why we have a lot of clashes. But all our acharyas that you see, all the gurus that we have, they never felt into all this. So in fact, the followers or people like us, we have this problem saying that no, yours is great, mine is great. Today we have so many clashes, right? Religious clashes, this clash, that clash. Or even amongst two groups of people, also we have clashes that take place, which ultimately becomes very violent also at times. But all our acharyas did not do that. They had their own philosophies. And even if you see, even the three philosophies of Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya, Advaita, Dvaita, Vishishtadvaita, ultimately the goal is the same. They just told us three different ways. That doesn't mean that they were against each other. And even when we have Vaishnavism, Shaktism, Shaivism and so on, it just shows the diversity that we have. That doesn't mean that they were against each other. Never ever anywhere it is mentioned that Shaivism is against Vaishnavism or Vaishnavism is against Shaktism and so on. There are just three different ways, three different philosophies that are there. Whichever way you want, you can apply. That doesn't mean that they are against each other. A very simple example, you go to the market to purchase something. You want to pay money. How do we do? You will have different options. You have cash, you have online, you have net bank, you have UPI, so many options, right? You have. Ultimately, you are going to pay money only. From some or the other way, it's going to be deducted from your account. Whether you pay it in cash, whether you do something online or whatever it is, right? So that doesn't mean that these methods are, no, he paid with cash, he is great, he paid with online, he is one level low. You don't do that. I gave you a simple example. It is somewhat similar only. So when it comes to religion or when it comes to philosophy also, he developed this, you can say, debating mentality. Oh, that is great than this. Vaishnavism, devotees of Lord Vishnu, they have their own ways of practices. Mainly it talks about a lot of puja practices and so on. Shaivism, worship, it also talks about worships of Lord Shiva mainly. Shaktism talks about the power of the goddess, tantric worships and so on. So everything is unique in its own way, different practices, and now why all this was even developed to show the diversity, at the same time to tell the people that there is something called Vaishnavism, there is something called Shaktism, there is something called Shaivism. Whichever way you want, you can follow. It just shows the diversity. There are different ways, different methods, different rules for all these philosophies. Whichever you feel comfortable, whichever you feel easy, you can do. That's the reason even for doing bhakti also, culture, in our culture, if you see our dharma, you have different ways that are true. If I say, okay, show bhakti to Lord Vishnu, if I tell all of you, someone will say, no, I chant the Vishnu Sahasranama. Someone will say, no, I don't chant anything, I just sing. Someone will say, no, I don't sing anything, I just read the stories. Someone will say, no, I don't do anything. That is my way of bhakti. I just be good, I just do my everyday work, my duties and so on. That is my way of bhakti. A fifth person will come and say, no, I don't believe in anything, I'm just leading my life as it is. Right? So here we cannot go and compare and say that no, what you are doing is correct, what you are doing is wrong, or you should increase this, you should do this. We cannot go and tell anyone anything, rather we should not do. Everyone's way of bhakti is different, and this has been mentioned, right? Krishna himself tells in the Gita, whatever way you want, at least you lead a good life, that is more than enough, that also I will accept as bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam, many different ways of bhakti have been told, chanting the names of the Lord, reading his stories, reading his glories, listening to his stories, visiting temples, chanting stotras, singing songs. Different methods are told. Right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Gayanam, and so on. So many methods are told. Whichever way you want to follow. That doesn't mean that all these methods are against each other and so on. So this mentality of fighting or debating has been developed by all of us, or you can say mankind in general. So therefore, similarly here also, all this explanation that I gave you, Vedanta Deshika also tells Krishna Mishra the same way. There can be different philosophies, there can be different ways, but we are no one to change it. Something which has been passed about, same thing I am passing it down to you, I am passing it down to my devotees and followers, and people who come and ask me, people who come and accept me as their Guru. So there is no question of fighting, because Vedavite Namaha, one who has gained the knowledge of the Vedas is the Lord himself. So the Nama is Vedavite Namaha. And the Parashruti is we will also be blessed with the grace of the Guru, grace of the Acharya. To know anything, now here this Nama also stresses upon the importance of having a Guru in life. I just give you an example, right? There is so much knowledge around us. If you want, you go and get a book and study for yourself. We don't do that. We need someone, like we have our different Acharyas, the 3 Acharyas who are there, the different Gurus all of us have. And still we need someone in life who is always leading us. Without a Guru, things become impossible. So therefore, having a Guru in one's life is very, very important to understand or to gain knowledge in any field it is. Okay. Did everyone understand this Nama? Yeah? Okay. Next Nama, let's have a look. Shri Priyaji, you want to say something?
I want to share a small thing.
Yeah.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Purushottama Yoga 15.5, Krishna Swayam says that Vedesha Sarvai Ahameva Ved.
Correct. Correct. So he himself says, so this Nama, Vedanta Kritve Davideva Chaham. In the screen also, if you see 15.15, if you see 15 chapter, 15 verse, Krishna himself says that I am the Vedas, or the knowledge of the Vedas. This Nama is quite similar to that. Okay, let's look at one more Nama. Avyangaha. Avyangaha jnanadibihi paripurnaha avikalaha uchyate. One who is complete, full of knowledge. So basically these names are quite related to the knowledge of Vedas, basically knowledge. Vyangaha vyaktihi na vidyate iti va avyangaha. Vyangaha meaning something which we can see, manifested in front of us. Avyangaha, one that doesn't have any form. Though it has got a form, even that's why we see, right? I can experience God. You don't need a form always, you can experience that. That is avyangaha. Avyaktoyam, again you have avyaktaha. Avyaktaha doesn't always need a form, it can even be avyaktaha. Gita reference. Okay, now for this we have a story from the Chandogya Upanishad. From the different Upanishads, one is Chandogya Upanishad. In the Chandogya Upanishad, you have a topic called Vaishwanara Vidya. Now in this, what happens is, there is a story of 5 sages. Now all these sages, what happens is, they they have an argument, or they just ask each other, saying that all of us, we want to know about God. Who is God? What is God? What is the supreme energy? What is reality? What is the truth? And so on. So what they do is, they decide to go and ask a senior sage who is there. So all these 5 sages, they set about Udalaka is his name, I suppose. I don't remember. Yes, Udalaka should be the name of that sage. So all these 5 sages, they go and ask this person Udalaka. He says, they go and ask a sage, and that sage says that you go to a king called Ashwapati. Ashwapati is a Kaikai Desha king, the father of Kaikai. So now in those times, if you see, or even Janaka also for that matter, he's a Rajarshi, right? So in those times, kings also used to have qualities of sages, and many times they used to also give Upadesha, they used to also teach the sages. So all of these sages, they go to Ashwapati, a very learned person. So they go to Ashwapati and they ask that all of us, we have this doubt, we want to know about God. One of our senior sages, he told that we should come and consult you. So hence we have come here. So then Ashwapati says, okay, let all of you can sit down, and he worships all of them and so on. He has that respect for 2 sages. And then each one of them, he asks, what according to you is God? What do you worship? And so on. One sage says that I worship Swarga, I worship heaven. That only I consider as God. That is considered to be everything for me. So therefore I worship Swarga. Ashwapati says if you are worshipping Swarga, that means you are worshipping only the head or the top part of the god. Next sage says that I worship Surya. So Surya, because he is the one who provides light and so on, that's how world life exists, so therefore I worship Surya Bhagavan. Ashwapati says that if you are worshipping Surya, that means you are worshipping only the eyes of the Lord. Third sage says that I worship Vayu, I worship air, because that is there around everyone. Prana Vayu, if air is not there, the creation will not exist. Ashwapati says, good, you are worshipping air, but then you are worshipping only the breath of the Lord, nothing else. The fourth sage says that I worship space, vacuum around me. So I feel that space is something which I have to worship. So I am worshipping that. Ashwapati says if you are worshipping space, you are worshipping only the stomach of the Lord. Another says I worship the water. I worship water. I feel water is everything. Water is life. So therefore I am worshipping water. Ashwapati says if you are worshipping water, you are worshipping only the lower body of the Lord. That is the reason why this question has come. What is God? You are not getting answers. Because you are worshipping only one certain part of the Lord. That's it. If you have to worship Lord, the entire form, the whole form of the Lord has to be worshipped. This is Avyangaha. So Avyangaha literally it means that the entire body of the Lord is Veda Swarupaha. Just as we say Veda Swarupaha. But the entire part, right from the head till the toe. Few of us we had learned, right? Vishnu Padadi Keshanta Stotram. Right from the head till the toe, each part of the body of the Lord represents, you can say, the entire universe, or each part represents God himself. So we cannot just choose one part and decide, okay, I'll worship this, I'll worship that. That's the reason. So through this what we understand is Avyangaya Namaha, meaning different parts of the body also represent knowledge. We must not restrict ourselves in worshipping only one part. In our case, how you compare is that we don't worship this way, right? One part, space, heaven and so on. We don't do that. What we do is, we take only one philosophy, saying that, okay, Vishnu Sahasranama, only this I will do. For our ease, or maybe you can say the teachings of the Gita, or maybe some people say, how we have these different discriminations, right? Maybe I'm a Shaivite, I will worship only Shiva. I am a Vaishnavite, I will worship only Vishnu. Or I believe only in Shankaracharya, I will read only Advaita philosophy. This is something which we must not do. If you choose only one part, just like all these sages worship different parts of the body. Similarly, if you choose only one path or one god, or you can say one philosophy, it's not that it clearly means you are not worshipping the Lord himself, you have just chosen one part. That's it. So wherever you have to do something, we have to be open, and that's the reason different philosophies, different acharyas, whatever you have, different methods, everything has to be worshipped, everything has to be accepted and followed. Only then worship takes place completely, and then only we get the answer of what is God, what am I doing, and so on. So through this Nama, Abhyangaya Namaha, the sages also got a very beautiful answer, and it says that different parts of the body represent the Lord himself. So the entire body part of the Lord himself represents the world, that is Abhyangaya Namaha. All the parts of the body are knowledge personified. This is the meaning of this Nama. Okay, so today time is up, we will stop here.